I'm Tammy.
And I'm Jan.
And we're Spoken Wines.
Yeah.
We are about to wrap up our time in the Barossa Valley. And what a jaw-dropping experience
Yeah.
it's
What a
been.
journey. Incredible.
We have stood in the world's oldest vineyard.
Not only standing, we got to drink their wines.
Oh, and they were incredible.
Amazing.
We also got to meet the winery that was taking the world by storm. I mean, they accomplished worldwide recognition in just over 20 years.
Because they have incredible wines.
Yes, they do. Some of our very favorites.
Mm-hmm.
We also introduced you to Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
Two Shirazes.
Wait a second, are you the beauty and I'm the beast? No, these wines.
You can answer that.
Yeah.
But these are two different styled Shirazes, and they're grown just 600 feet apart from each other.
Yeah. Amazing, huh?
Yes,
It's
it is.
amazing how a wine can just reflect a terroir in the way it did that.
Yes,
Yeah.
but now we get to wrap this all up with the vineyard, the winery, that brought us back after 10 years.
Yeah.
It lured us back, and it was the reason we were back in the Barossa to begin with.
Yeah, we were there in 2015, and we ran into Greenock Creek Winery. And we started tasting their wines.
Oh my gosh. So we will highlight one of my favorites, which is a Shiraz. It has the tickling in the cheeks, just like a Shiraz from Barossa Valley is known for. But it has something different. An undernote that is unmistakably like a stone fruit.
Yeah.
And it comes from their Apricot Block.
In a Shiraz.
In a
I mean, it's
Shiraz.
incredible. You can't really describe it. You just have to drink it.
Yes.
But we at the time had this cab, and we could not get it out of our mind. It just kept calling us and kept calling us. So finally we said, we got to go back there. And so, yeah, we came back there, and we got to sit down with Greenock Creek, and we asked them, how are you making this incredible cab? Because this cab is so rich yet focused. It's so opulent, so flavorful, yet it has this incredible freshness, as if you're walking in a spring shower and getting drenched in 5 minutes.
You can't tell that we really like this, right?
Love it. So, you're gonna get to hear from Alex and Pete, and hopefully they will give us a few insights on how they go about it. Now, just a note of caution, Pete is a man of few words, okay? He does his speaking in the wine, and it just smells so good. How do you do this? We had to find out.
You make consistently, I can say that, consistently, very high quality wines. What makes you unique here? What sets you apart? Why is that?
My point on that would be, don't overthink it. It's the first thing I look at. Make a decision, stick to it. It starts in the vineyards. That's where it starts. And then from there, when we bring the fruit in here, and it's Alex's job and my job, work as a team and get the best out of that fruit that's brought in.
We're blessed, as I mentioned previously, with some iconic vineyards grown in some different soil types and structures and different rock formations under the soil, which the western ridge of the Barossa gives us. And essentially our estate vineyards are two valleys inside the valley, being Seppeltsfield and Marananga, where we are filming at the moment. People would buy fruit from this region to help build up their wines. We have single site wines coming from this region, so we're always going to have some very big, robust wines that have longevity and flavour, but that's the freshness is something that I guess we work really hard on. It's that attention to detail, running cool fermentations, cool cellars, lots of barrel topping, regular tastings, monitoring the wines. And something I guess I've talked about a lot since I've been here is no rules. throw the recipe book out the window. Let us be winemakers, and if it's ready to come out of barrel, it's ready to come out of barrel.
Fantastic, isn't it?
Yes.
It's the best. Okay, so no rules. Throw the recipe book out of the window and keep it simple. Now, don't be fooled by these guys, okay? Alex has been at it for 20 years, as he said, and Pete has worked on that estate for nearly 40 years. So these guys know what they're doing. And as Pete said, you know, it starts in the vineyard. And we've seen that all through Barossa, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, these incredible, magical, mesmerizing wines. They get started in the vineyard and then just don't screw it up. You know, keep it simple. But there's more to it, right?
Oh, yes. They had more to add, and let's see what they reveal.
Yeah, let's see if we can get them to lift up the curtain a little higher.
The big secret of Greenock Creek is that low cropping aspect. I mean, in some years we aim for about 1.5 to maximum 2 tonnes of the acre. That is considered super low cropping in most regards. In some years we've dropped 0.5 tonne of the acre, 1 tonne of the acre. So I guess even though we are pushing our vines with low water, we're trying to get them to penetrate into the soil so they can pick up the nutrients, pick up their own natural water. And because of that, that's I guess what Greenock Creek's learned over 40 years, is because the vines are being pushed hard normally, they can survive more drought tolerant. They're more drought tolerant, I guess, to hotter years and variations in the temperature. And because they are low cropping, we actually pick early. The vines are developing naturally early, and that's what we want. So we're actually getting the freshness because we're missing a lot of the heat waves that come towards the end of summer. Well, this year we pruned early, which we said we needed to do because it was anticipated to be a hot summer. So we wanted bud bursts early to get canopy growth to shade the fruit and bring the ripening on quicker.
Because Cab Sauv is more known in a cooler climate. You can come to full ripening. And then here I come, and yes, no, it doesn't taste like a Cabernet Sauvignon from Bordeaux. It doesn't taste like a Cabernet Sauvignon from Walla Walla, Washington. It has its own character. I kind of joke with you, it tastes to me like a cab that wants to be a Shiraz.
Yeah.
But it is so fresh, it's so focused. You're doing that in a hot climate. Explain how you make this tremendously high quality, focused, fresh Cabernet Sauvignon.
I guess we try and make Cabernet Sauvignon, and that's back down to our single site philosophy again. The Cabernet Sauvignon is planted in a location that's going to allow it to get some cooler breezes. So while our 2 vineyards are not in the sub-region of Greenock per se, the Greenock Creek runs through the property. And that's where the brand got its identity from. And the Cabernet Sauvignon is planted right in a little stream where we get a good flow of through winter time, some natural water course through there, and there's a big bank of eucalyptus, gum trees. That provides some afternoon shade, so it's protected from the afternoon sun. Gets full morning sun, but protected in the afternoon. And also it's in a real dense loam soil, so the roots are really deep down. Also those eucalypt trees, they play a big part in the story. I always see a lot of spearmints or sometimes some ginger notes even in that Cabernet Sauvignon. And there's been a lot of studies done in another region called Langhorne Creek where the remnants of the eucalypts can go into the vineyard as the bunches are developing or the oils fall off the trees, and that can give you those spearmint sort of flavours. And I think that's what gives a lot of freshness in that Cabernet Sauvignon. And as you say, it's not a Barossa. It's a Barossa Cabernet Sauvignon. It's not a Margaret River. It's not a Bordeaux. It's not a Walla Walla Washington Cabernet. It's a Barossa Cabernet, which it can be a Shiraz in guise, but it is its own statement.
The Apricot Block, there's 2 sections to the Apricot Block. There's the contour up the top of the hill, which is hard bluestone quartz. And it used to be an old apricot orchard on that section. Now that was all ripped up, and it was over 500 tonne of quartz and bluestone was taken off that vineyard and ripped up. Then the bottom part of the apricot is a sandy alluvial loam down to the creek, and that's where you get your richness and chocolatey flavours. And also the top part is more stone, lineal, nice quartz, minerally flavours through it, and you get that stone fruit also come off it. Now the two blocks, the top part is very small berries, being a very hard ground. The bottom part of the apricot being alluvial loam, the berries are a little bit larger. Now those two lots are put together, and so you get a real dense richness from the top, and you get a bit more elegant from down the bottom, bigger berries, a bit more juice, etc. So it's a very unique block in the way it's formed. And there's 7 rows just above the contour part, which are part of it as well. And that's on a very hard ground with just a little bit of clay over the top. So it's got a unique flavour coming from that area. And it's the orchard been there for, planted back in the 60s, I think the orchard before. And for years dropping the kernels down and all that, and the flavours and the old apricots into the soil. So I reckon that's where it's come from.
I guess in some ways, yeah, people say it's almost a flagship wine. It's the most popular wine without being a flagship necessarily, but it's definitely this very unique character. It's that stone fruit element ranges from white peach to nectarine to a syrup in certain years, but it's purely coming out of the soil. So it's our Shiraz Viognier without having any single Viognier in it. It's very, very unique.
On the winemaking aspect, Alex, what do you do there to enhance these notes?
Grain French oak into the program, only about 5-10%. That seems to really driven and focus not only the tannins but also the stone fruit element in the wine that seems to be coming through stronger and stronger and stronger. A newer consumer to the brand or Barossa wines in general, I think you're going to have from us the velvety seductiveness that you can only get in Barossa wines. That has always been our hallmark.
In the winery, we treat every wine as our flagship wine, and I think that's where we get it right. It's not it's our entry wine. Everyone is our flagship wine, and we want the best out of every vineyard we bring in here to producing the wine. We want to make sure it's the best that goes to the consumer, and that's our aim. And I think working together, one old head and younger one, it's been a good team.
We are doing something special next, offering more detail on a perfect food pairing with the Cabernet Sauvignon. Let's hear from Spoken Wines member Janelle talk about this perfect pairing.
We're having a braised leg of lamb, which is braised in a red wine and lamb broth with very warm, fragrant spices like star anise, cloves, cinnamon, cumin, smoked paprika. And then on the side, we have roasted carrots with a balsamic glaze and goat cheese. And then this is the base is a couscous, a Durham couscous, which is a whole grain couscous with a citrus infused herb sauce. So there's mint and parsley, orange and lemon. And also in the braise, there's orange peels to bring out those citrus flavors. And this should pair well with the wine because it has the gaminess of the lamb, also brings out those warm spices and really absorbs it, which should match the tannins in the wine as well. It should be able to match up to the tannins and bring out more of like the softness of the wine.
What a trip, and Greenock Creek did not disappoint. This next video reminded us of another favorite Cabernet Sauvignon that was just 20 miles away rather than 8,500. We take you to Idaho's Hells Canyon Winery, whose perfect terroir produces an intense, complex cab that will blow your boots off.